Health Watch now, and we are going to continue with the coronavirus outbreak. Skepticism has grown ahead of the Summer Olympics in Japan as the number of global cases has climbed to over 76,000. CBS News foreign correspondent Debora Patta is in Tokyo with how the coronavirus might affect the Olympic Games.
Should the Olympics still be held here?
Well, there's a growing number of people who are skeptical about the prospects.
Jeffrey Kingston is the director of Asian Studies at Temple University in Tokyo.
Well, they really botched the quarantine on the Diamond Princess, and now they've released all the people who tested negative. This may be an epic mistake.
With just 5 months to go before the Summer Olympics, the Japanese government believes that the spread of the virus, both at home and in the rest of the region, will be contained by then.
I was so scared.
Infectious disease expert Professor Kentaro Iwata visited the Diamond Princess and was scathing in his criticism on YouTube of how the quarantine was handled.
There was no single professional infection control person inside the ship, and there was nobody in charge of infection prevention as a professional.
Over 300 Americans were evacuated from the Diamond Princess, and we are learning that nearly all of a group of 13 passengers quarantined in Omaha have tested positive for the virus. In the crisis epicenter of Wuhan, millions have been in lockdown for nearly a month now. British citizen Connor Reid is trapped in the city, where he told us wartime measures are in place. You can only go outside briefly every 3 days, and food has to be ordered via a group messaging system.
We purchase all our food on that platform, and then from there they get delivered to the central community area, so to speak.
So CBS News foreign correspondent Debora Patta is joining me now from Tokyo with more on this. How might the coronavirus impact the Olympics, especially because, you know, we've seen a number of worldwide events being canceled as a result?
Well, what we already know is that some pre-events have been either cancelled or changed in some way. For example, in Japan, they're having a number of events prior to the Olympics to test out the various stadiums and the new infrastructure. And those have now been restricted to just Japanese nationals. There'll be no other foreign groups coming in and getting involved in those because they want to try and limit the possibility of contagion. The Olympic Committee and the government have insisted that they think that this coronavirus will die out by the time the Olympics begins in 5 months' time. But as the experts tell us, they have no plan B. So while it's unlikely at this late stage, they say that it could be relocated, there could be possibilities of postponement, say some experts, because one virologist said that if the Olympics had to be held now, Japan wouldn't be able to cope with the current coronavirus.
Well, I'm wondering if, you know, the way they have handled the Diamond Princess cruise ship, if that sort of impacted the public's reaction.
Absolutely. I mean, it's drawn outrage and response from very senior people within the medical community. In fact, one professor, as you saw there, went onto the boat and he was horrified. This is a man who's been in Africa working with the Ebola outbreak. He's covered the SARS outbreak and worked there as a doctor. And he was invited onto the doctor as a volunteer doctor just for the day. And he said he was horrified. There were no green zones, which is areas where the infections would not be present, or red zones to indicate those were dangerous areas. There was no infection control at all, he said, and this horrified him. And if you consider that that is the largest cluster of infections outside China, it is cause for deep concern. Japan has come under serious criticism for the way they handled the quarantine. The words botched, bungled, those are the words that are being used in relation to that. And people are saying, well, you know, you didn't handle that particularly well. How are you going to manage this up until the Games in 5 months' time? It's just around the corner.
And what do we know about the American evacuees off the cruise ship in Japan that tested positive for the coronavirus?
They are in hospitals in Tokyo, and there's around 40 odd of them, just over 40 Americans tested positive and are still in Japan. They will be released from those hospitals once they have a negative test. They have to have both a nose and a throat swab within 24 hours, and if those are negative, then they can be released. And we spoke to one of them today, and she said it's really frustrating. They keep testing. She has no symptoms, but until she actually tests negative, only then can she be released. And once they are released, they will have to wait 14 days in Japan before returning home, possibly.
Oh, my goodness. More time in quarantine. Debora Patta, thank you very much.